Well, it's amazing. What I like about what you've done is that I was going over some of the episodes that you did that you recorded, and I mean, you must speak. I guess you can speak Spanish. You can understand the Spanish language because that's what you went to the original source that was written in Spanish. I don't think any scholar does that. Really, it's amazing.
Well, so I speak Spanish and Italian, and so both of those languages have been helpful in decoding the primary historical sources. However, I don't want to claim to be the only scholar doing that. So Rafael Ortiz, who is yes, we all know Rafael. He is, in my opinion, Dr. Carol Delaney is the premier Christopher Columbus expert in the world. Yeah. I think that Rafael Ortiz is quickly matching her. And he is fluent in Spanish because it's his native language. He was born in Puerto Rico. He's of Taino descent. I was born in Philadelphia. I'm of Italian-American descent, but I've been speaking Spanish for 30 years. And I've actually gone to him on particular difficult questions, and he's helped me. Oh, really? So okay. I'll give you an example. So one of the often quoted writings of Christopher Columbus is Columbus writing to the crown of Spain, complaining that the Spanish hidalgos and other explorers who came to the Americas after him were capturing Taino girls and women and selling them on the market as sex slaves. And so Columbus writes to the crown. He says, "You got to put a stop to this. This is going on, and it can't be tolerated." But the Columbus detractors seize on that, and they say, "Oh, he's bragging about it, or he's endorsing it," and that's entirely not true. But one of the other things that they, aside from just taking his writings out of context, another thing that they say is he mentions girls about 8 or 10 or 10 to 12. I forget the exact numbers, but it's like 8 to 10 or something like that are on the market. And so that has commonly been translated to mean girls of ages 8 to 10 are being sold as slaves. Raphael pointed out to me, and I had to go back and look at it, and I said, "Oh, he's right." Columbus isn't referring to their ages. He's saying that's how many girls are currently being sold right now. There's about 8 to 10 of them being sold right now, and we've got to put a stop to it. So it's fine stuff like that where Columbus uses loose language. Spanish wasn't his original language either. He was a secondary speaker of Spanish. And so his loose use of the language is open to loose translations, and Raphael has been instrumental in helping me overcome those obstacles.
So the Columbus detractors, I mean, they're pretty much, they're taking some of the stuff that's out of context just based upon the translated material, or just...
They take it all out of context. So one point that I try to drive home in every interview is that all of this detraction against Christopher Columbus is all based on lies, absolute lies. And if you listen to my radio show, particularly the first six classes that I did in 2021, I did a 6-part series debunking the 8 slanders that are levied against Columbus, that he was a racist, rapist, maimer, murderer, slave owner, slave trader, grifter, and genocide heir. I end each episode by saying, so you see, folks, based on what I've just told you, not only are they telling you lies, they're telling you that most pernicious type of lie, the exact opposite of what is true. And so the Columbus detractors take everything out of context to paint the opposite of what's really going on. And on top of that, there are translation errors. So it's a mess. They're a mess.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's so many detractions are there, but I mean, Howard Zinn is the one who really deserves the entire. But does he deserve all the credit for this level of detraction, or is it just? Several?
So Zinn was the rock star, but actually, before Zinn, there was a man named Hans Koenig. Now, Hans Koenig and Howard Zinn were friends. They were fellow members of the Communist Party. And Zinn, at least, was an academic or infiltrated academia is probably a better way to put it. But Koenig wasn't even an academic. Koenig was a playwright and a poet. And what he did was he wrote a book, a complete work of fiction, casting Christopher Columbus as a villain. And, he didn't cite any sources, Koenig. And what Zinn did was he plagiarized large chunks of Koenig's work and published it in chapter 1 of A People's History of the United States. And then only because Koenig wrote about Columbus. But Zinn's book, People's History, didn't end with Columbus. It went on to talk about all of the historical events of the founding of America. And so, and not just the founding of America, but like the Vietnam War, everything, just America's history. But Zinn's work was what brought Koenig's work into the public eye, but people didn't know it was Koenig's fictitious work. And so here, Koenig, had Koenig brought this stuff to light, or I say to light, had Koenig put this stuff in the public eye, it wouldn't have had much credibility because he wasn't an historian, he was a playwright. But Zinn, being in the world of academia, when he put this in the public eye, it had the color of academic imprimatur. It had, that stamp of approval, but it's still false. And there are no sources. And if you read Mary Graybar's book, Debunking Howard Zinn, she does a phenomenal job of exposing all of the nonsense.
So when he wrote this book, he didn't have any, but nobody came forward and said, look, this is all wrong. These are lies. I mean, good Columbus scholars who spent their life. He's not a Columbus scholar. He's whatever. No. He's whatever. He's I don't know. What is he anyway? What was he?
He's not even a scholar. He's a polemicist.
Yeah.
No, people did not come forward. And the reason people didn't come forward is because he did this in the 1960s. It was a different world in the 1960s. I mean, now we have the internet. Now someone says something and everybody knows it instantaneously. But back then, by the time Zinn's writings really came to light, there weren't, first of all, I should back up. So first of all, things moved very slowly prior to the internet. So somebody would make a claim and people would go, oh, that's nonsense. And they wouldn't even bother to respond to it. Now somebody makes a claim and it's just in front of everybody's eyes instantly. And so now you've got to scramble to say, wait a minute, that's not true. So that didn't happen back then. So very gradually, Zinn got his polemicist message out, and it infiltrated academia very slowly and very carefully. So there was a time when there were Columbus scholars still in the world of academia, but very slowly, the people who studied the classics, the people who studied history were gradually replaced by the Marxist movement. And then once the Marxists had infiltrated academia, they said, bring it on. Let's make Zinn's work required reading in every class. And that's how it happened. By that time, the people who were scholars in this field were either out of academia altogether or had passed away. So nobody came forward because it was a slow and under the table movement. And by the time the internet came around, that's when they did this push, and now everybody only hears that stuff. And Winston Churchill said, the lie makes it halfway around the world before the truth gets its boots on. So now here we are scrambling to put on our boots and get the truth out there, and it's already a fait accompli. Everybody already believes the big lie.